Hello everyone, this is Chichi Dagogo Ariso. This is Chichi Dagogo Ariso, aka the storybook lady as I like to call myself, aka Blossom Kids Corner. Back to what we are here for. I have an interesting topic that we're going to talk about today, and it is 10 common teenage problems in the society today. We need to tackle the issue of teenagers, teenage issues. We need to sort them out before they become adults or before they become youth and then to adults, so that we can have a healthy, growing society. So we need to discuss these issues because, like they say, charity begins at home. It all boils down from the home. Everything, most of their development is dependent on us. Remember, like I always say, a newborn baby is like a blank piece of paper, and God has given each and every one of us as parents the pen, the indelible ink, to write down the story of their lives. And for us to achieve that, we have to know our bit. We have to know those things that we ought to do and do them early, so that we can have a good crop of children or youth that will eventually transcend into adults to better our lot. Our first point here is self-esteem and body image. Now, I taught some days back, and I talked about how to build self-confidence in our children, and I said that self-esteem is correlated with what I call self-concept. Self-concept is what you think of yourself, and self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. Now, these two ideas, a lot of times, not just most times, they rub off on the minds of our teenagers, because their bodies are changing, their bodies are experiencing things that they haven't experienced before, and if they don't see those things that seem to be normal or seem to be generalized in other children, it gives them low self-esteem. It makes them begin to body shame themselves. Classical example is thus: if we have a child, there are two friends who one person is developing puberty faster than the others, because puberty starts from age 9 for some people, and this child is maybe 12 or 13 and she hasn't started seeing her period. Meanwhile, her 9-year-old or 10-year-old or 11 or 12-year-old friend has already started seeing her period. She begins to look at herself like, am I a man? Are you sure I'm supposed to be a woman? Are you sure God created me right? And then it begins to affect her self-esteem. Or secondly, maybe a lady is already developing acne on her face and her friends are not developing acne. She begins to body shame herself. She begins to hate herself because she doesn't like the fact that she has pimples and her friends don't have pimples, and yet they are the same age. And what does that cause eventually? She can't go out without makeup. She cannot step out the house without enhancing her beauty, because she no longer likes the way she looks with the pimples. Some of them even give them names. They actually give the pimples different names depending on the size. So we as parents have to make our children know that they are beautiful the way they are, and all these phases will definitely pass. With self-esteem and body image, the next one is stress. These conflicting self-esteem and body shaming will eventually lead the child to stress. The child will begin to become stressed because he or she cannot do things that she's supposed to do freely, because she has to keep looking to the left or to the right to make sure that nobody is judging him or her, nobody is watching him or her. And then with stress, it also relates down to bullying. Once they are stressed, they lose who they are. They lose their self-confidence. They lose that essence of life in themselves, and then they become an object of bullying. Sometimes you might okay, like for me growing up in my house, I was the shortest in my house, but I was the first child. So me being the shortest, did it stop me from attaining my responsibilities as the first child? No. So if we as parents have to make our children understand that whether they grow tall or short or fat or slim, it doesn't change them. It doesn't change who they are. That they are beautiful in their own different rights. And sometimes children that actually bully others are those who don't have self-esteem, or who have very low self-esteem, or who have a very low self-concept of themselves. And the only way they feel better is by making another person feel bad, which is not a very good thing. Then with bullying, it leads to depression. The child becomes depressed. He or she would begin to enter into a shell, would not want to interact with people, will begin to have, and it affects their mental health, it affects their academics, it affects their social health, because they would not even want to relate with people in public. Now with depression, when they become depressed, they now start looking for a pastime. What pastime would they go for? Cyber addiction. They go on the internet and then decide to look for something that will take their minds off what they are facing, and that will lead them to cyber addiction. It will lead them to a place where they now begin to meet other children online. They begin to interact with children online, children who are also seemingly in the same position as they are, and then they begin to form a network. And before you know, that's how cultism starts, that's how gangs start. These are all children who have some form of mental issues, not psychiatric issues. Psychiatry is different from psychology. Psychiatry is the health aspect, is the point where a person is mentally deranged. But psychology just has to do with the way you think, the way you feel. Sometimes you might just not feel happy. Like what we call mood swing is actually a psychological imbalance. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're mad. But yes, everybody actually has some good days and some bad days. Now with cyber addiction, we as parents need to monitor what our children watch online. We need to know why our children are online. We need to know the kind of platforms they visit online. We need to know who they interact with online, because they are perverts online. They are social media monsters who are waiting for vulnerable children to key into, to rush them, to wreck what is left of those children's lives. And without proper supervision from we the parents, we the guardians, those who God has given the mandate to take care of these children, without proper guidance, these children will definitely be lost. With cyber addiction, remember I said they form a network of people whose minds are as warped as theirs, and then they begin to interact. That leads to drinking and smoking. Sometimes your child might be, yes, a good boy, and then he interacts with bad boys, or he interacts with boys whose characters are questionable, and then before you know it, they'll tell him, guy, just take one drag now. Why are you a small boy? Are you not a big boy? Can't you handle it? And just so that he doesn't feel bad, or just so that he doesn't feel let down, he now takes one drag. And then, oh man, is this what I've been missing all this while? And he takes the second drag and the third drag, and he's running bottles, he's running packets of alcohol, from packets of cigarettes, and from there he begins to transcend to taking drugs, to taking all other terrible things into his body. And we as parents, they'll do that outside and still come home and try to be that same good boy or girl. But we as parents, we need to monitor, we need to know where our children go to, we need to know their friends, invite their friends to the house, let their friends be regular visitors. You as a parent, when you see certain children, you will use your eye as an elderly person to look at the child, look into the child. Even if they are trying to hide, they cannot pretend forever. So let's encourage your children to bring their friends home more often. That way you'll be able to sieve and say, no, you see this boy, I don't like him and I don't want to ever see you around him. You can even go as far as telling the boy, I don't want to see you around my child. You are protecting your own. You are not doing it because you don't want that other child to feel bad. you are protecting your own. You are securing your territory. And then with drinking and smoking, it gets to defiant behavior. They become stubborn, they become rascally, they become quarrelsome, they begin to talk back at you, they begin to get rude. So it transcends with time. From self-esteem, it becomes stress, from stress to bullying to depression, then cyber addiction, then drinking and smoking, and then they begin to exhibit some behaviors that you don't understand, and you be like, where did you get all of this from? Before you know it, from there, the next one is underage sex. Because once they begin to storm out of the house, go out, come back whenever they want to, the next thing they engage in underage sex, they begin to have intercourse. Because they are at puberty stage, so their hormones are actually at its peak at that point in time. They begin to have libido, they begin to have wet dreams, and if we as parents, if we don't communicate effectively with our children will learn outside. Our daughters will not just hear it outside, they will practice what they have been taught, and then the resulting effect is teenage pregnancy. Are you ready to become a grandmother of a teenage child? I think it will be a slap on your wrist, and it will not also be good for that child, the mental health of that child. So please, as parents, we need to put our foot down. We need to open our eyes. We need to be more vigilant as to what our children do and what they who they interact with, who they see, what they do, and all of that. You could buy gadgets for your children, but please, as much as you can, let there be some form of restrictions, let there be some form of limitations. Let them know that mommy doesn't want us to be on, mommy doesn't expect us to be online from 9 p.m. till so and so time, so that you'll be able to monitor exactly what these children are watching or are looking at. Even when they watch TV, the kind of programs they like to watch, monitor exactly what it is that they are watching. Finally, we have peer pressure and competition. Now, with peer pressure, it all boils down to the same thing. How do they manage peer pressure? Do you make your home an enabling environment such that your child can really come home and tell you when he's being bullied? Or if there's any form of competition, can your child come home and tell you exactly how he or she feels? You need to make your home an enabling environment for these children. So guys, this is everything we need to know about common teenage problems in the society, but that's not the end of the video. This video is going to be split into two. So the second part is steps to building a healthy relationship with your teenagers. Hang on, stay there, and watch out for the next video. Bye. This is Chichi Dagogo Wariso, aka the storybook lady, as I like to call myself, and I am signing out.